What happens when the U.S. military is turned inward against its own citizens? Marines deployed to Los Angeles, against the orders of the governor and mayor, a Secretary of Defense accused of leaking classified information in secret group chats, lawmakers demanding answers and getting stonewalled. From warning shots to Ukraine, NATO, and Iran, the man in charge couldn't give a straight answer to save his job. Was it incompetence, or something far more dangerous? This isn't just politics, this is a power play, and it could shake the foundation of American democracy. And what comes next might shock you even more. It all started when the Secretary of Defense ordered National Guard and Marine Corps troops into Los Angeles.
As a gentleman from California, Mr. Carbajal.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It shouldn't come as no surprise that I have serious concerns with both the deployment of the National Guard and the Marines to Los Angeles. I served in the Marine Corps. We are trained to be war fighters, not for crowd control. Everyone here should be alarmed that the President has sent armed forces into a city against the wishes of a governor and mayor. I am concerned this administration is purposely escalating the situation with this step and politicizing our armed forces in the process. Let's call it for what it is. It's political theater. Hegseth, are the Marines in Los Angeles ordered to protect property by any means necessary?
Sir, I would say the ICE officers and police officers being attacked is not political theater. The National Guard and Marines,
just yes or no. Just yes or no.
The National Guard and Marines have the full authority to protect federal ICE agents.
Yes or no.
Just,
can you just say yes or no? This isn't Fox anymore. Just yes or no.
They're there to protect federal agents and federal.
Another BS answer. Under the SRUF, the use of force, are Marines allowed to fire warning shots?
No.
Now that's more like it. Isn't that easy? Well, you know, I'm going to beat this drum because you refuse to take responsibility. Will you take responsibility for having made a mistake? Not to mention, many people would say break the law in participating in the Signal group chat that included a journalist, your wife, your brother, where classified information was shared.
Sir, every way I communicate is authorized. Every way I communicate.
Okay, if you want to say that. I have called for your resignation. I didn't think you were qualified before your confirmation, and you have done nothing to inspire confidence in your ability to lead competently. You broke the law in sharing classified information, and in doing so, endangered the lives of our service members that you are responsible for. Your inability to hold yourself accountable makes you incapable to lead. This alone makes you unfit to be the Secretary of Defense. Secretary, do you think the United States should continue supporting Ukraine in its fight against Russia, a nation that is hostile towards the United States?
Well, as you know, sir, President Trump is committed to peace.
No, I just want yes or no answers.
Today, the United States has spent billions of dollars.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Over years.
Just yes or no. Can I get a yes or no out of you?
We continue to send.
Come on.
Presidential drawdown.
It's that easy. Kindergartners could give me a yes or no. Yes or no.
Yes, we support peace in Ukraine.
Come on. Is this really leadership? You're an embarrassment to the United States. If Russia invades NATO allies, are you going to recommend to the president that we fulfill our Article 5 obligations?
Well, Russia has not invaded NATO allies.
No.
President Trump has
No. I reclaim my time. Yes or no? It's that simple.
There's Article 5 in NATO, which we recognize.
So is the answer yes or no?
That's what Article 5 is, yes.
Good. I'm glad you brought yourself to saying yes. Do you think political allegiance to Trump is a requirement for serving our nation, either in uniform or a civilian in the department?
I'm incredibly proud, as are millions of Americans.
No. Not today, Hegseth. Yes or no?
Congressman, you know what a silly question that is.
But silly enough
fidelity
to
to the
warrant a
Constitution.
very straightforward answer, yes or no?
We all support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
You know
We're
what?
proud to serve
I'm not going to
President
waste
Trump.
my time anymore. You're not worthy of my attention or my questions. You're an embarrassment to this country. You're unfit to lead. And there's been bipartisan members of Congress that have called for your resignation. You should just get the hell out and let somebody competently lead this department.
Mr. Chairman, do we not have any decorum in here?
Thank you very much. I yield my time.
Absolute
Gentleman
this
yields
is
back.
horrible.
And I would urge everybody to remember and maintain a decorum suitable for this chamber with their further comments.
But here's the catch. Neither the governor nor the mayor had asked for them. In fact, both of them opposed the move. The congressman leading the charge against the secretary wasn't subtle. We're trained to fight wars, not control crowds. And that wasn't just some line. That came from someone who served in the Marines himself. His warning was clear. This was political theater disguised as law enforcement. Then came the question that made the room shift. Were the Marines in Los Angeles ordered to protect property by any means necessary? The secretary dodged. He brought up ICE agents, claimed they were under attack, but when pushed for a yes or no, nothing. Just more wordplay. It wasn't Fox News. The congressman reminded him. It was Congress, and Congress wanted the truth. Still, the secretary wouldn't give a straight answer. But the next question would finally force him to. Under SRUF, the use of force rules, are Marines allowed to fire warning shots? This time the answer came out clean. No. That was the first time in the entire hearing he answered a question directly. See, that wasn't so hard, the congressman said. But the tone was already shifting. Because what came next wasn't about troops. It was about secrets. In a twist that few expected, the congressman accused the secretary of sharing classified information in a private signal chat, a group that allegedly included his wife, his brother, and even a journalist. The implications were enormous. Not only was this a breach of protocol, it could have put service members' lives at risk. The secretary's defense. Every way I communicate is authorized. That was all he offered. But for the congressman, that wasn't enough. He didn't stop there. He called for the secretary's resignation, said he was unqualified before the confirmation, and he had only proved it since. You broke the law. You endangered lives. You refused to take responsibility, he said. And with that, he drove the point home. You're unfit to lead this department. The silence afterward was louder than any outburst. But that wasn't the end of the questioning. Not even close. The congressman kept going, moving into foreign policy, demanding yes or no answers to some of the most critical questions in global security. Should the U.S. continue to support Ukraine? He asked. Yes or no? The secretary danced, tried to deflect, but the congressman cut in. Just give me a yes or no. Kindergartners can do it. Finally, the secretary answered, yes, but the damage was done. That delay had already made its point. Next up, NATO. The congressman wanted to know if Russia invades a NATO ally, would the secretary recommend the U.S. fulfill its Article 5 obligations? Again dodging. Again delay. It took relentless pressure before the secretary finally said yes, and even then it sounded like a reluctant one. The congressman mocked him again. Glad you brought yourself to say yes. But the next question might have been the most damning of all. Is loyalty to Donald Trump a requirement for serving this country? The secretary tried to laugh it off, calling it silly. But the congressman was dead serious. He wanted a real answer. Instead, he got more evasion. We all support the Constitution, the secretary said. That wasn't the question. The congressman had heard enough. You're not worthy of my questions, he said. You're an embarrassment. And just when it felt like the heat couldn't go any higher, a new voice stepped in. Representative Ro Khanna. His approach was different. He wasn't yelling, but his questions cut just as deep. He focused on Iran, on President Trump's promise to avoid endless wars, on conservative voices like Tucker Carlson, warning against escalation. Will you promise the American people you won't bomb Iran unless we're hit first? Khanna asked. The secretary refused to give a clear answer. said it wouldn't be prudent. But the frustration was written all over Khanna's face. Then, another name entered the room, Netanyahu. If Netanyahu uses American missiles to bomb Iran, and they retaliate, doesn't that drag us into war? Khanna asked. Will you tell him that this is not in America's interest? The secretary dodged again, said Netanyahu would put his country first, and we'd put ours first. But that wasn't a commitment. That wasn't a line in the sand. Khanna warned that Iran's nuclear capabilities aren't vulnerable to a few bombs. That hitting them would only push their program underground, deeper into civilian zones. It was a powder keg, and the secretary didn't seem to want to defuse it. Finally, Khanna shifted to the legal front. Will you obey the ruling of the federal courts? He asked. This isn't about your opinion. It's about the Constitution. But once again the secretary danced around the answer, claimed local judges shouldn't decide national security, wouldn't say yes, wouldn't say no, just another dodge in a hearing full of them. Khanna's point was simple. This isn't your Constitution. It's not mine. It belongs to the courts. Will you obey them? The secretary wouldn't commit. In the end, the hearing painted a clear picture, not just of a government official dodging tough question, but of someone avoiding responsibility at every turn. The refusal to say yes or no, the evasion of court rulings, the classified leaks, the strange loyalty to one man over country, these weren't minor issues. They were foundational failures, failures that lawmakers across party lines say cannot be ignored any longer. So here's the real question now. What happens when the person in charge of defending the nation can't even answer to it? When trust breaks down? When transparency is lost, and when leaders refuse to be held accountable, what fills that void? If you believe leadership should mean something more than avoiding blame, that the people deserve straight answers, not rehearsed deflections, then hit that like button. Subscribe for more hard-hitting breakdowns of the stories they don't want you to hear. And let us know in the comments, should this secretary resign? Because the truth is, the longer we let silence speak, the louder the consequences become.